So in honor of Mental Health Awareness Day, and given the plethora of questions that have come flowing into my YouTube channel, I decided that I would open up about something that I had never had in the past in hopes that it can help one of you guys. This will easily be the most personal video that I ever do, and quite frankly, I can't really believe that I'm opening up about it in this sort of public way. It was never something that I wanted to talk about, mostly because I felt like it was a sign of weakness, and I felt like, especially coming from a business background, you know, if you're looking to hire somebody who, and you're deciding between two candidates, one who has anxiety and one who doesn't, you'll probably choose the one that's, you know, a seemingly confident, strong leader, right? And I wanted to be strong and put on a strong face for you guys as well. And you know what? If there's a silver lining to everything that's happening in 2020, it's that it is okay to not be okay. And it's no longer taboo to talk about mental health. So what is anxiety? Let's first start with the definition. Well, according to Oxford, the definition is a nervous disorder characterized by a state of excessive uneasiness and apprehension, typically with compulsive behavior. So just a little bit of background. As a child, I actually grew up very, very shy. And I had a hard time making friends. I was overly attached to my mom. Still probably am a little bit that way. And then when I came into middle school, something changed. It was then that I started gaining an understanding of the social world around me and had a desire to partake in it. Now at the time, my parents were beginning what would become a very, very nasty, drawn-out divorce, and my sexuality was slowly but surely starting to come into play. And this was right around the same time that my battle with anxiety began. I remember I developed a stutter at one point, and worse than that, I developed a series of nervous tics. This was one of them. This was another. This one right here is probably the most common and one that still I still battle with today. Mom, you probably remember this one. This was another. God, that one was bad. I'm just gonna interject here, but I forgot to tell you, this is how both of my thumbs used to be. They both used to have this curvature. This one no longer has it, it's straight, and it used to hurt so bad, and it's no longer able to move because I would make that movement so much in my thumb, it just kind of ruined that ligament. Eventually I was like, it was too painful, and I had to allow my nervousness to manifest itself onto yet another tic. And I remember kids and teachers alike would ask me, you know, what was wrong, and that was really, really hard to deal with because I didn't, you know, as a kid in middle school, you don't want to think that anything is wrong with you. Why are you winking at me? Right? I would do that, which, you know, I have some funny stories, but that got me into a lot of trouble because I was not actually winking at people. I remember a teacher once asked me in front of the whole class, like, if I had something in my eye that I needed to go to the bathroom to remove, and I was just mortified. So I remember the whole rest of that period, I acted like I did. You know, I kept rubbing my eyes and just getting really frustrated with this imaginary thing that was in my eye so that nobody knew that it was actually just a tic, a nervous tic. And the weird part about it is that it's unlike something like Tourette's, it's something that I can control. So like if I focus hard enough, I can tell myself, okay, concentrate, don't do it. You don't need to do it. You don't need to satisfy that urge. You don't have to. It's almost like that slight discomfort or tension that I was causing with these like uncomfortable emotions in my face provided me a sense of relief, even if it was just temporary for the next 5 or so seconds before that urge would then creep into my brain yet again. That's the best way I can explain it. To this day, I still don't entirely know what it was and what it is. Maybe someone can diagnose me down below in the comments. I've tried to do research, and it seems like it just boils down to anxiety, because it certainly scales up with anxious periods of my life and scales back down with periods of non-stress in my life. Meanwhile, now in high school, my sexuality started to come into play with vicious rumors swirling around about whether or not Sam Cushing was gay. In fact, I remember at one point there was a Facebook group that was created my freshman year of high school where I still wasn't entirely out, titled Sam Cushing equals big F-A-G in all caps. And of course I went home and I frantically reported it. I think there were about 50 or 60 people who had already joined that group in my grade, and only to find a few days later that this kid had created a follow-on group, Sam Cushing equals big FAG 2, which I think about 110 or 120 people joined. That really hurt because at the time I felt like being called gay was synonymous with being disliked, and I just wanted to be liked by everybody. And it was just adding a lot of fuel to this anxiety fire, which I already had brewing behind closed doors. And in making this video, you guys, I really, really do not want to be a victim here. I don't. Because the truth and the irony of all of this is that I became so good at putting up the shield and covering up the anxiety that I was suffering with, that, and probably slight depression, not to self-diagnose here, but that looking back, I was not an outcast. People would not say that Sam Cushing was an outcast in his grade. He had a lot of friends. He was senior class president, in fact. He was voted the Sons of the Revolution Award recipient, where all 700 of his peers voted him the most kind and respected kid in the class. So I was by no means a popular kid. I wasn't some cool jock or anything, but I got along with everybody and was friendly with all walks of life. That was my MO, but people didn't know what was really going on every single day when I got home and, would cry. I only tell you these details just so you know, things can seem so great from the outside, but that same person can be completely crippled on the inside. I remember waking up, you guys, especially in high school, and I was so nervous. My stomach would be in knots, and I just didn't want to face the world. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to face reality. I remember lunch hour was particularly rough for me because there were so many things to be anxious about. Not to this day, this is still something that I struggle with. You might notice in some of my videos, hence the comments that I was putting in the beginning of this video, I still have a bit of a tic sometimes, and I really still struggle with anxiety, but it's so much better, and I've come such a long way from where I was in the past. You may not see the tic all the time because I make sure to edit it out. But the good news in all of this is that I'm much, much, much better now, which is really why I wanted to make this video, so that if anyone is out there struggling, you know that it does get better. Things will improve in your life. And now I look back with my friends and we honestly do share some laughter at some of this trauma that not only me, but a lot of us went through. So I wanted to share some tips with you of how I feel like I've overcome it. Mind you, I'm no expert either, but here are a few things that helped me cope. Number one, my friends kept me so incredibly grounded. Especially if you're gay out there, hang tight to your girlfriends, specifically girlfriends. They will keep you grounded. That friendship is so pure. I joke with a few of my girlfriends, one in particular who turned out to be a psychologist, that her whole life she was a psychologist in training because she just heard me vent and communicate and soundboard with her about how I was feeling, and that really, I really don't think I would be here if it wasn't for some of my girlfriends. So keep your friends close. Number two, in the same line of thought, communicate how you're feeling as often as you need. Number three, it's really easy to fall into this trap of thinking that everyone is talking about you or everyone is thinking about you, but the reality is people really just aren't thinking about you all the time. And not in a bad way, in a really liberating, amazing way. Not everyone is watching your every move, and that was such a beautiful thing for me when I finally realized that. They don't care. Number four, stay healthy, both physically and mentally. For me, as you guys know, fitness has been a huge outlet for me. And that's been incredibly helpful in coping with any mental struggles that I've had. I would say another thing that's really helpful is breathing when you get really stressed out. Take a few deep breaths. There's biology behind that can literally calm your mind and calm your body. So take a deep breath. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth a couple of times, and you'll be astounded at the results. Eating right, that's another big factor in all of this. If you have a poor diet, that's really going to affect your brain and how you function throughout the day. It'll affect your energy levels, and then if you have low energy, you might get depressed. That leads to more low energy, and it's this vicious cycle. Eating right can help break that. Number 5, have some sort of escape, whether it's painting or music, something where you can really regroup with your thoughts. For me, as you guys know, it's music, it's piano. That's my second form of therapy beyond communicating with friends and family. I hope this video was helpful, you guys. Take some time for yourself today. Love yourself. I really mean that. I mean, again, the point of this video was for you. I really hope that it touched at least one person who can maybe identify with my journey. And feel free to ask me any questions that you have down in the comments section below. I'm happy to respond to you guys there, and we can keep cultivating this community of love together. I love you guys. Ciao. Nos vemos.